call the meeting to order. This is our public meeting, which is the one meeting that we're required to have annually by the Community Preservation Act. We're required to have a open meeting for the public to discuss the projects that we're looking at for this year. So we're going to be presenting 4 different projects and a couple of other housekeeping items in terms of monies for presentation to town meeting. The way the Community Preservation Act works is people bring projects to us. We take a look at what they are and decide whether we want to recommend them to the legislative body, who happens to be the town meeting. Town meeting is the ultimate arbiter in terms of whether the project goes ahead or doesn't go ahead. So tonight we're going to be discussing these projects. I'll present a brief synopsis of the project before the project is discussed, and then the proponents will come up and be able to actually discuss more about the projects and answer any questions that the public may have. So, with that said, the first project, by the way, I'm Bob Bentley. We have members Mary Ross, Dave Hall, Carl Miller, and Connie Shea with us. And they all represent Conservation Commission, Historic District Commission, Recreation Committee, and then there are at-large members. So we're by law required to represent a large cross-section of the various interests in town, and the Community Preservation Act requires that we allocate monies to open space and recreation. That's well, to affordable housing and to historic preservation. We're not allowed to expend money for maintenance on projects. We're allowed to expend money on projects that are new, innovative, but they're not actually serving as maintenance. So with that said, the first project that we have in front of us is what's termed the Williantic River Corridor Conservation Project. It's been submitted by the Buzzards Bay Coalition with full support from the Conservation Commission. They're requesting $375,000 for open space and recreation. And this is a part of a larger project with additional acreage being in Wareham. However, this is a standalone project for Carver. And the money will be conveyed to the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and there will be a permanent conservation restriction placed on the property. So, with that said, if we can get representatives from the BBC, that'd be great.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Brendan Annette. I'm Vice President of Watershed Protection at Buzzards Bay Coalition.
And I'm Alan Decker. I'm the land protection director with the coalition and work with Brendan directly on open space projects in the watershed for Buzzards Bay. So the Buzzards Bay Coalition, which is been around since the mid-'80s, is based in New Bedford but has offices in Marion, Wareham, and Falmouth. It actually has national accreditation as a land trust. One of the activities that we're very involved in addition to other activities that are protective of bay and water resources, is protecting land throughout the watershed, the land that drains through the streams, rivers, and wetlands down into the bay. By protecting those lands, it's a very important way to protect the water resources associated with the bay. but the water resources associated with the bay actually extend up into the river, up into the rivers. And so this is something we've been doing for a long time. We've protected more than 10,000 acres of land from Rhode Island up into Plymouth and down to Falmouth and on some of the islands out in the bay, including protected some land here already in Carver over the past 15 years or so. This particular project is a 730-acre piece of land along the Weebiantic River. 515 acres of it are in Carver, the remainder just across the town line to the south in Wareham. It is the Slocum Gibbs Cranberry Company land that extends from Route 58 east across the river to Wareham Street on the east side. And it extends, and like I said, it extends south down to the highway along the river in Wareham. The purpose of we've submitted the project as an open space conservation project. The benefits of the project, the significant benefits of the project, the drivers of the project are to protect water resources, the water quality, to protect the wetlands associated with the area along the river, actually to restore wetlands in most of the cranberry bogs, to protect wildlife habitats associated with the natural lands, and to maintain the property as open to the public for access for recreational activities. It's a large amount of land. It is a cranberry farm. There's about 120 of the 700 plus acres are actually cranberry bogs. The long-term intention is to implement ecological restoration on the cranberry bogs to restore to wetlands. The immediate intention is to open the whole property up to the public. There's already considerable network of existing trails that are based on the existing farm and forest roads that extend throughout the property. It's an expensive project. It's a lot of land. It's a $5.8 million acquisition. We used a model that we have been successful with before to develop a funding plan for the project. We actually approached your Community Preservation Committee here. We similarly approached the Community Preservation Committee in Wareham and have gone through that process, making similar requests in both towns to support the project. Additionally, we submitted applications for state grants and federal grants, actually a number of different state and federal grants. And since I last saw you, we actually not only have heard on the federal grants, but they have been contracted. They were contracted a week ago or so. The state and federal grants combined that are in hand now that have been awarded equal about $4.25 million. Town of Wareham town meeting has actually already voted on their community preservation because they had a fall town meeting this year. They contributed another $375,000. We're asking $375,000 from Wareham, and Buzzards Bay Coalition is working on private fundraising through private gifts, philanthropy to pay for the remaining $800,000 of the project. I think those are the basics. This is about protecting existing land to protect the existing natural resources. As you said, the Conservation Commission, Conservation Department, and the Conservation Commission here in Carver has expressed support of the project and a willingness to hold the conservation restriction. And so the Buzzards Bay Coalition would own the land. The town of Carver would have would hold a permanent conservation restriction on the land that permanently protects the land, basically removing its development rights. And similarly, for the portion of land that is in Wareham, the Wareham Conservation Commission has agreed to hold the conservation restriction there.
Great, thank you. Committee members, questions?
Are we going to have a map or something that we can display at town meeting to show the size, extent, and area of the land?
Absolutely. Yeah,
And-
we submitted a number of maps with our application, and we can work with you in advance of town meeting to what I did in Wareham, and I've done at other town meetings, including yours in the past, is create just a simple sheet like this that we can make available at the entrance. And then I can create a slide with you so that we can work with whoever's administering the meeting that day to actually put it up on a projector, as you're suggesting. Yeah.
Have we identified where the parking's going to be? Can we identify that on the map when we
We can.
produce it for the town meeting?
We can.
And have we established an annual maintenance plan for the property?
We have, and we brought it for you. We actually brought copies for each
Excellent.
of you. Yeah.
I'm very much in favor of it. I think this is a great idea for the town of Carver, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this move forward.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, through you, this is the draft land management plan, trail map, parking map, and examples of existing parking areas on other coalition reserves that would typically be constructed on a reserve property like the one here in Carver.
And this is going to be open to active or passive recreation?
Yes, yeah, correct. Meaning it will be closed to, the vehicles will park in a parking lot, the property, the farm roads will not be open to vehicles. As you said, there's one road that will be open to vehicles because it is a road that cuts through the property to the east.
It will be open to horses, bikes, and pedestrians?
Correct.
Excellent.
Yep.
Other committee questions? Mary?
I'm just assuming we have the available funds for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions?
No, I'm quite familiar. We've had this in front of us a few times in both this committee and conservation, so they've done a good job answering all my questions that I've had so far, so.
Yeah, same here. I think it certainly is something that comes along once in a while, you know, and we should take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
It's a way to preserve some land around here that, you know, we need to.
Questions from the general public, audience? I don't see any. So thank you for your presentation. We're going to vote probably on this a little bit later tonight in terms of where it goes from here. As I said, the committee is basically tasked with coming up with recommendations. We bring them to town meeting. Town meeting makes the ultimate decision.
Understand. Yeah.
And I'm assuming that you'll be available for, or you will be present at town meeting, so in case any questions come up that I can't answer.
Certainly. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. It would be helpful, or we're happy to assist if needed with wording on the article, simply because there are some grants associated that might benefit from wording.
Could we provide them a copy of the proposed article?
I can provide you a copy with what I've written up as a proposed article.
That'd be great.
It's pretty basic. And
Basic works.
I do whatever I
Most
can to keep articles that I present to town meeting basic.
Yes, understood.
Excellent.
Do you want, I have a copy here, if you want a chance to review the proposed article before we vote on it?
Oh, no, I'm not interested in wordsmithing at this point.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
offer
Okay.
the
Yeah.
opportunity to just take a look at it.
I'm offering it to you now because it If we vote on it tonight, that's what's going in the article,
Word for word.
pretty much, correct?
No, it's as long as the intent of what I've written is there,
Right.
that's fine. But I've been overridden, I was overridden entirely last year by the Director of Finance who said, well, we need to write the article entirely differently.
Yeah, what this is getting at, we've worked with the other towns and with the Community Preservation Coalition, which I know you have some contact, you're a member of. The Community Preservation Act, the way open space projects can get funded by the CPC like this is that, just as we proposed, is that the Conservation Commission will actually be purchasing that conservation restriction. So that will happen simultaneously with the purchase of the property. So those proceeds actually go to the seller, not to us. Meaning the town doesn't give the money to BBC to then go buy the land. The town is actually acquiring the real estate interest, which is the conservation restriction. So the town conservation commission is the, and that sounds complicated, and I don't think you have to get into wordsmithing tonight.
No,
but that's what Alan was
right,
referring
that's-
to. Is we've worked with town attorneys in a number of the town halls, so we can make sure that we just help you make sure it's done correctly.
I think we did it vaguely enough, and it says, for the purpose of acquiring 730 acres of land in South Carver for open space and recreation. So we didn't specifically limit it to
Yep.
how those funds
I think
would
that's
be
fine for
expended.
your vote.
I mean, I didn't want to say, bounded by this road and this road and this road, because that just is not going to go. So,
So
Yeah, we're available to help. That's all, yeah.
it's 520 acres in Carver of the 730 total, is that right?
Yeah, 515, I think, yeah.
Yeah, in our article it says 730.
We actually have GIF working on the survey now, so
Oh.
until it's all done, like the exact, when you're talking about a piece of property this size,
It's around 550?
so
that's around 515.
515.
515.
Yeah.
and,
Plus or minus.
total acres and approximately 120 acres of bogs.
Yes.
And I believe that at our prior meeting, you mentioned that you were going to maintain some of the bogs actually in production,
Yeah, yeah.
but the rest were, your intent was to do ecological restoration on them.
Correct, yeah.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
very good.
Thank you very much.
So the next project in front of us is a historic preservation. It's been presented to the CPC by the Historic District Commission. The proposal is for the purpose of preserving historical photographs and artifacts currently in the possession of the Carver HDC. There are several old photographs and artifacts which are deteriorating, and it's the Commission's desire to preserve them. And Connie Shea is actually going to be presenting this and the next proposal. So, Connie, the floor is open to you.
All right, I will be recusing myself from any discussion amongst the board or voting on the project, as I'm requesting the funds, or the Historic District is requesting the funds, and I'm the representative here for that today. So historic photograph and artifact preservation, as originally, as you know, we wanted to start with 500, but after reviewing many of the historic artifacts that were available, the board felt maybe a larger amount was more appropriate, up to $5,000. There are numerous photographs from the turn of the 1900s. There's Civil War quilts, there's bells, there's World War II Air Force uniforms, much of which are not appropriately being preserved, and we want to make sure that they're preserved and preferably displayed given the opportunity. We've been working with the Board of Directors on the library to work through this, and they seem very excited that we would be working towards preserving, and they're very interested in putting these on display throughout the library. And we do have some pretty impressive artifacts. I brought pictures, but I don't have a laptop, so I'm unable to provide them here, but I will do my best to provide them for some pictures for town meeting. I know the board has seen them, or some of the pictures, so the photographs are starting to curl and tear. Many of them are on 1932 photo paper, which contains silver and deteriorates rather quickly. So this is something that we wanted to get on, because they are starting to curl and crack. And the artifacts that are in the worst condition are the ones we want to work on first, and mostly that's photographs, and then we'll work our way up from there.
Great. Any comments from the committee?
Nope.
I think this is in line with what we've been doing in terms of trying to preserve historic records. And, you know, we've been concerned about what's going on with the town clerk's historic records, and this is directly in line with that, and trying to make sure that these artifacts are able to be viewed 100 years from now, when all of us are still alive.
They haven't really had a review in some time for most of them, as they were donated. They were boxed or packaged up, and many of them were put into storage, and those have been there for some time. Like the Civil War quilt has been there for an extended period of time, and that needs to be addressed to make sure that it is appropriately protected.
Where's this stuff being stored now?
Most of it's being stored in the library. The library has 2 storage rooms, the Carver room, which you're aware of, upstairs in the library, which also has a storage room off of it, and there's another storage room in the library that it's just stuffed full of artifacts and stuff. So.
And the intent is just to display this stuff at some point in time?
Yes, and but we want to start with the pictures first, because they're the ones most in danger, but then again, some of the fabric items, which we haven't opened boxes because we didn't want to expose them to the elements till we were ready to assess the level of damage or protection that they needed. So those have been just off the description of what was in the box.
Very good.
Do you know who donated all those special pieces, like the Civil War quilt?
Well, some of them do have the donation to them. The Civil War quilt was donated by the Sons of Liberty, I believe, at the hall across the street, if I'm getting the name correct. It might be the Daughters of Liberty, but off the top of my head, I don't recall. There's an officer's uniform from World War II, an Air Force uniform. I'm sure that there's records in the library for that, but regardless, we will do our best to track down who the owner of that.
That was my
Because that one's very
question, yeah.
specific to a person, and,
Yeah.
and that one. And then we have the church bell from the North Carver Baptist Church. It was the Sunrise Church, and now it's condominiums up there. So that's in storage up there, and I think that's something that the town can only benefit from, not sitting in a closet.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it.
Great. Any comments from the public? All right. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
The next project was presented to the CPC by the Historic District Commission. This proposal is for the purpose of completing the fencing around the historic Wenham Cemetery. Its requested amount is $13,000. It's in the category Historic Preservation. Connie?
So, the Wenham Cemetery, currently it's being impacted by development in the area. A subdivision's going in next to it, and we have concerns over maintaining the sanctity of the site. There has been some encroachment on it, and it currently only has two sides of the fencing, the eastern and the northern side, and John Woods went out with the Operations and Maintenance Department and did a lot of work on it this summer, cleaned it up very nice. There's still a couple broken headstones, but that's something we figured we could work our way towards. But two sides are currently unfenced, and with the development in the area, it raised concerns among the Historic District Committee about maintaining the site and then ensuring that people and resting places aren't disturbed or lost. The cemetery dates from the 1700s to about the mid-1800s. Around 1850, I think, would have been one of the more modern headstones in the cemetery. But as Mr. Bentley mentioned earlier, it is the second oldest cemetery next to the Lakenham Cemetery up in the Lakenham Historic District. So being its age and who knows what relatives may or may not still be alive, we want to make sure that the site is preserved for future generations. We did send out a request from the fencing company who submitted to us the estimate for the other two sides of fencing, along with we sent out another request for surveying the site to make sure that we encompass the entirety of the site. And it came in a little over $12,000, but with the world the way it is today and prices the way they are, we built in a little bit of a cushion to make sure that we could get the job done. Of course, any monies not expended specifically for that would be returned to the CPC.
Right. Any other committee comments?
Nope.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
And the next item is been presented to us by the Union Society. Proposal is to repair and replace the exterior trim on the Union Society building in South Carver. The funds are going to be expended under the direction of the Union Society, and they are requesting $67,000.
Good evening, everybody. Savory Moore from the Union Society. I live at 12 South Main Street in Carver. I've been before you a few times this year to go over this project, and I've been in front of the CPC previous years for other projects to preserve one of the most photographed buildings in Carver. We have in the past utilized CPC fundings to clad the building in vinyl siding, which will protect it for a long time. And we've had a recent project where we've redone the spires in manufactured wood, which should last for quite a long time. And our current project is to repair and replace all of the existing wood in the windows, the doors, the trim, the rake boards, anything else that is still exposed, and bring the rest of the church up to the quality that we have with the siding and the spires. We bid the job out when we first thought about doing it, and we received two bids. The third person decided that it was not something that they wanted to do. The bid that we chose was a gentleman, a company who has worked at the Union Church prior to this. back in the early 2000s, and he's very familiar with the building itself and the history of it and the actually, you know, the interior or the structure of it and how it works. So he seemed like a logical choice. The town has always been very supportive of what happens with the Union, it's officially called the Union Meeting House, but everyone knows it as Union Church. And the town has been very supportive of what we've trying to do there to maintain that church, and we're hoping that the CPC and you know, votes to approve it tonight, and that the town does the same thing in April.
Great. Comments from the committee?
Is the work going to be consistent with the age of the building? I mean, you're not going to, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's an old building, so you want to make the work look like it's old work as well.
It's going to look like it's old. Whether, you know, where possible, we would probably use newer materials for
Right.
longevity's sake.
I'm just talking aesthetically.
Aesthetically, yes,
Yeah.
we're going to,
Keeping-
we're going to
keeping in
replace
tune
what's
with the-
there.
With the age of the building and
Yes.
the overall character of the building.
Right, yeah.
Other questions, comments?
All set.
Any comments from the audience? Great.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. And that was the 4 projects. We also have other appropriations that will come before town meeting. One is for the committee administrative expenses, which we're allowed to take, I believe, 5% of our incoming revenue and put it to administrative expenses. I can tell you absolutely that we have never, ever touched that amount. We've used it basically for the dues to the Community Preservation Coalition and for paying our secretary. And, you know, other than that, any monies that aren't expended on the administrative expenses automatically go back into the Community Preservation Unrestricted Fund. So it's not like they get thrown away. It's not like they get used. And we also have a line item that must be paid, which is middle school, high school track debt service. Last year it was $331,275. This is year 6 of 10, so I expect it'll be somewhat less than 331,000, but probably not much less than 300,000. So, and I haven't been given that number by the Director of Finance, so I don't know for sure what the actual number is going to be. She gets this with a blank line item, and she's able to fill it out for me. With that said, I don't have any other issues to cover in terms of the public meeting. Anybody have any other issues in terms of the public meeting?
Nope.
Then I will entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. So, from here, we're going to go into the rest of our agenda, and you all are welcome to hang around for that. It's we basically run right into our order of business, where we will be approving minutes. I know the minutes came out later this afternoon or later this morning, so I don't know whether people have had a chance to review them or not. But if you have,
I just have a couple quick amendments.
okay.
On page 3, section B, the second sentence starts with Mr. Shea is wanting to protect a lot of historical artifacts, and it should be the Historic District Commission is looking to protect. And then the next sentence, he did a walkthrough, should be the Historic District Commission, committee did a walkthrough, because we did, as a group rather than as an individual.
Okay.
The only thing I saw, and I already went over it with Betsy, was in the E, outdoor classroom section, She had Mr. Ross, and I did not see Ray here that night, so I'm assuming she meant you. And that was the only thing I had.
All right,
No, I'm all set.
do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as
As amended?
amended?
So moved?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, so voted. Old business, review of ongoing projects, 11 Green Street Affordable Housing Project. I don't have an update for you. Mr. Bott, at the last meeting, gave, he thought there was going to be a closing in terms of 11 Green Street sooner rather than later. I haven't heard yet whether that's happened or not, but hopefully we're going to keep moving on that so we can actually get this thing done.
Yeah.
New and continuing business, bills payable, I don't have any bills in front of us. Update of approved projects. I think we've covered the Union Society Spire reconstruction pickleball court. Dave?
Mary knows
Actually,
more.
Mary, you can
She
probably-
probably knows more, but they've finished ripping down the fence, entirely, right? But I haven't seen any activity out there, do you know?
We got, go ahead, Mary.
Yeah.
I know you're not feeling it, I was gonna step in, but.
Yeah, no, we did get an email from Fuss and O'Neill in response to my email, and they are done for the season, and hopefully will start up again in March. They did get the one layer of asphalt down, and and then it got too cold, and they anticipate that the company will have ordered all the materials to complete the job in advance, so that they're good to go and finish it up as quickly as possible. I will tell you that I asked if there was, they had end dates. They've already missed one. Completion dates, whatever is part of the contract. And I had asked if there was any compensation to us or whatever if
Any
they
kind of
don't meet
penalties?
that date. And, because I don't remember reading that there was any such thing in the contract, but I really wanted them to think about it. So, they never really addressed it with me, so I'm assuming they just have dates and that's what they'll hopefully
Try to make.
get to, yeah. It's
Okay.
just been a long time.
Sure has.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay. And the Adirondack-style shelters at Cole property, I don't have any update on those. I haven't heard anything new from Dan Badger on that. Avenues of Honor, I know that Sarah's committee, Sarah Hewins is the committee chair of the Avenues of Honor Committee, and I know that her committee has met, and they actually were looking at doing double-sided banners, one with a picture of one person on one side and a different picture of a different person on the other side. And I think John Woods got back to her and said that wasn't going to really be feasible, so they're back rethinking how they're going to do that. What I've seen in other towns is, you have front and back, same
Same image, same thing.
same
just-
person
Yeah.
on the pole. And it turns out that from what I can read, there does not appear to be as many town-owned poles as we were led to believe. And there may be, in fact, more like 25 to 30, which is nowhere near owning every telephone pole in Carver. So I'm sort of waiting to hear more about that and see what we're doing. But if we can at least get, 25 poles up, that's better than 0. So
Are they going to Eversource for permission to put it on the other poles?
they haven't yet, from what I can read. And they have put stuff out on Facebook so that there is actually a call for veterans who are interested in, in volunteering to have their pictures put up on telephone poles. So they've got stuff out on Facebook and on the town website. So
That's good.
at least there's a movement forward on that. And I don't know that the outdoor classroom, there's much more different from what was reported last meeting. So from there, I want to go into the discussion of the projects and possible votes. I've handed out to each of the committee members the suggested language, as we have done from a number of years now. We do, for town meeting, we do the suggested language, and then we do an informational summary at the end, so it actually helps the public who's in the town meeting audience to actually understand more about the project and how the project came about and where all the money is being expended. One thing I didn't mention is that any of these projects if there's money not expended on the projects, if there's money left over on the projects, that money comes directly back to the CPC. It's specifically said as coming back to the CPC, and it goes into either if the money's been earmarked for a specific fund, it either goes back to the specific fund or it goes back to the unrestricted funds. And I put that in, I've started to put that in every year now because town council a few years ago misinterpreted the fact that every one of our projects was in fact a grant, and it is not a grant. And so I've made sure that that stays in there. So basically I've written up the article. It's almost a verbatim of what we had last year from the Director of Finance. She took what I had last year and rewrote a lot of what I wrote, but I was basing that on the prior year. So, but she was new, so she got to add in her stuff, which is fine with me. So there are certain items that I don't have numbers on, so I've left them blank. So she wanted us to have the total revenues appropriated, and then she wanted specific numbers for the appropriations, and then I went down in parts B, C, D, and E to list out each individual project. And part B was part A is really the community administration expenses and the middle school, high school track debt service. Part B is the Weewantic River Corridor Conservation Project for $375,000. Part C is the historic preservation, historic photograph and artifact preservation for $5,000. Part D was the Wenham Cemetery fencing for $13,000. And Part E was the Union Society exterior trim repair and replacement for $67,000. Oh, yes.
If you were here on time.
And then there's another line that's below that calls for Historic Preservation Reserve Fund, which I'm not sure whether we're going to have that this year, given the fact that we've got 67,000, 13,000, and 5,000 being expended for historic preservation. So we may not have to have that line. The unrestricted reserve fund, we will definitely have to have a line item or a number there. So, does the committee want to vote on this as a whole? Does the committee want to vote on this as individual items?
I think we should probably do it individually.
I think so, individually, yeah.
The only change would be,
Actually, we do have to do them individually because Connie's going to recuse on
Oh, that's right, too.
a few.
on Part B though, does the verbiage have to be correct? That
No.
730 acres is.
I will fix that.
Okay, all right.
And I made a note, so
Okay, great. No, I just
I'm
didn't
ready
want it
to-
to go in that way and then people get all.
No, I definitely will, am, and I made a point of, in the explanation, I made a point of saying that this is part of a larger project with additional acreage being in Wareham. But then I made sure I said, but this is a standalone project, because otherwise people are going to say,
We're funding something in
we're
Wareham.
buying something in Wareham too?
Right, right.
So I didn't want that. So Part A is really the administrative expenses, the middle school, high school debt service, and any reserves that we have to have. So let's take Part A first.
Are they gonna be A, B, C, D, and E, or are they gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
I'm gonna. It actually may be easier for me to make them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay.
6.
But for tonight, we'll call them A, B, C, D, and E, and what are we doing?
So items 1, 2, and
1 and 2 are combined?
historic, any reserves are combined.
Okay. All right.
So, do I hear a motion to, for Part A, to take items 1 and 2 and any reserves?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously, 5-0. Part B is $375,000 from the unrestricted reserve fund for the purpose of acquiring, because I don't believe we're going to have more than enough money being expended in the open space and recreation by virtue of paying the debt service.
I do that, yeah.
So this is going to come from the unrestricted reserve fund. And I've made a point of putting in specifically where it's coming from because in the past, we've had town accountants who they've taken it from wherever they can find it. So that doesn't work. So I make a point of trying to put exactly where it's coming from. So this is for $375,000 for the Wewiantic River Corridor Conservation Project.
So moved.
As amended.
As
amended.
As amended, correct, yeah.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All
I'm going to
opposed.
step away for this.
Okay. Part C, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $5,000 for the purpose of preserving historic photographs and artifacts currently in possession of the Carver Historic District Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 4-0. And Part D, see if the town will vote to appropriate $13,000 from the Community Preservation Historic Reserve Fund for the purpose of completing the fencing of the historic Wenham Cemetery.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. That's 4-0. And Part E, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $67,000 from the Community Preservation, Historic Preservation, or unrestricted funds for the purpose of repairing and replacing the exterior trim on the Union Society building in South Carver.
So moved.
Second.
All Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. So, that's that's the articles. Those are are there any other issues? Any other?
Nope.
Nope.
The young people from the civics class, do you guys have any questions about what happened tonight, what went on, or anything that happened tonight? No? Okay. After the meeting's over, you can bring your paperwork up and we'll take care of that for you.
Okay, so we need to set the next meeting date.
Thank you for coming, Mary. I know you were sitting there in pajamas waiting for Jeopardy to start.
No, I knew he was gonna go.
So,
I just had a
We usually
feeling.
do the third Thursday,
The 4th.
fourth Thursday.
How's the 27th work for people?
Mary and I can't be there.
Right? Because we thought you were gonna be the 20th.
We thought it was gonna be the 20th.
So we set a rec meeting for that night.
And actually, that week before, no, we did it because that's the week before that is
School
school
vacation.
vacation.
No one's around.
So, is the 20th going to work?
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm around.
I'm fine.
I might
But
be
if the
iffy.
rest of our committee wasn't.
You might have a meeting?
No, I might be iffy on that because it's school vacation. I get kids out. Roughly your age.
Maybe one of our other members might show up.
Well, that's a hope, so. All right, so why don't we make it February 20th? Same time, same,
Same bad time, same bad channel?
Downstairs, though, right?
yeah.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Is there any other business?
Not with me, no.
Do we hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? Mary, thank you for coming.
Yes, Mary.
Mary doesn't want to go home.
You gotta stop.